Got the money for minutes, petty bitch, gotta show me titties. This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? That life before riches, huh? That life before riches, huh? Pretty bitch, show me titties, huh? And I got the glaze, you run up on me, I'ma make you get it. I'ma make you get it. Got the money for minutes.
Okay, so let's talk about it, people. Great fight tonight. Canelo versus Bivol. We all saw what happened. Many people out there, was predicting another Canelo win. I was basically the lone wolf in the pack, saying that Bivol was going to beat Canelo. I thought he would have stopped Canelo. He could have a couple of times if he didn't let Canelo, bluff him. But yeah, great performance by Bevo. It kind of the fight kind of went more or less how I thought it was gonna go. I thought that Bevo would let his hands go, and that would be the difference in this fight. Now, in terms of hand speed, I was thinking that you know, I was thinking that I wasn't sure who was gonna have the faster hands in there. Okay, both guys were pretty quick, but in the long run, you know, Bevo Bevo was the man in there. Okay, yeah, Bevo was the quicker fighter. I wasn't sure who was going to be the quickest fighter in there when in terms of hand speed, but when it all came down, at the end of the day, he was. I'm not sure if he was necessarily the quicker fighter, but I think he was in the better condition. Okay, uh, he was in a better condition, and I think that he just was able to maintain his output more than Canelo could. Canelo started gassing and getting tired, started breathing hard, breathing through his, breathing through his mouth. Canelo was getting a little bit gassed, and so not so much that Bebo was a faster fighter, it was just that he was able to maintain his output longer than Canelo, and so he maintained his speed up right up until the last round to a certain degree, while Canelo was getting tired and getting slower and getting, his output was becoming less and less. So yeah, uh, great fight by Bevo. They used a pretty good strategy. I thought that a couple of times in there, Beaver could have pressed a little bit more. Okay, he didn't press as much as he could have. I thought that he could have pressed a little bit more. But I think Canelo has a great poker face in there, and a lot of times when I thought he was hurt, and Beaver should have pressed the fight. Beaver kind of held back, out of respect, I guess, for Canelo's caginess, I suppose. But I think Canelo was just bluffing. A lot of times he was really hurting there. He was trying to act like he wasn't hurt, and Beaver fell for it. So it is what it is. But yeah, so Canelo uh, did his best in there. He tried, but it was just that Beaver just had a little more firepower than he was used to. And like I said, that would have made the whole difference in the fight, I thought, and it did make a difference. The fact that Beaver was willing to let his hands go, and he started doing it, as the round. I think he started pick up the pace. Beaver picked up the pace like around the seventh round. He started picking the pace up a little bit on Canelo. Okay, and again, that was great strategy by these guys. Around the seventh round, he started really picking the strategy up. He started firing back at Canelo, and then Canelo would throw a combination or try to come in close. Bevo would, let his punches go. anytime Canelo came in range, most of the time he was jabbing and keeping Canelo at the end of his jab. But anytime after the seventh round, anytime Canelo came inside, Bivol would let his punches go. Okay, and so he was catching Canelo on the inside as well as on the outside. And so from then on, as the fight went on, he started picking the pace up a little bit in terms of his punch output. Okay, and then you can see that that's where they started separating because Bevo looked like he was like getting a little bit. Not that he was getting stronger, but he was maintaining his strength while Canelo was getting weaker. You can see Canelo was getting gas at a certain point in the fight. He got a little tired. Okay, and you can see that guy. He was breathing out of his mouth really hard at points in the fight, and he was stopping a lot of times in the fight to get rest, because Beaver was really putting the pressure on him. So yeah, great performance by Beaver. Fought the right strategy. The fight went more or less like I thought it would have went. Okay, as I talked about in my pre-fight video, I talked about how the punching output is going to be a big difference in this fight. That you know in the last fight that Canelo had, Caleb Plant didn't let his hands go. Okay, and also not only did he let his hands go, he didn't really have much power. He was mostly, moving around. I just thought that Bevo would do more punching than moving, and this is exactly what happened. Okay, he moved, but he did more punching as well. Okay, he outpunched Canelo, which is what you have to do. Okay, and so yeah, it was a great fight by Bevo. I mean, I thought, like I said, I thought he let the pressure off of Canelo at certain points in the fight, but I think that again that was due to Canelo's poker face. Canelo was hurt, but he was acting like he wasn't hurt, and Bevo kind of fell for it because Canelo is a good actor, a good fighter as well. So at points in the fight, I thought that Bevo should have stepped up the pressure, but he stayed back and he didn't step it up. But I thought if he had stepped it up, he probably could have taken Canelo out of there. I think I'm thinking that if they fight again, he's going to stop Canelo this time because I think now he knows what Canelo has. He knows, you can see that his confidence kept, getting better as the fight went on. He got more confident. And every time that Canelo came in, he let Canelo have it. He started really putting the pressure on Canelo. His output, again, that was the difference. His ability to let his punches go in the face of Canelo's offense is what made the difference. Okay, he was calm under pressure. Canelo tried his best, but I mean, Beaver was a bigger man. I mean, at the end of the day, Canelo is fighting at that, his weight. I mean, he should be the stronger man in there, and although Canelo displayed some strength at one point in the fight, he lifted up Bevo off the ground and was walking around the ring with him. But at the end of the day, where it mattered most in terms of, again, the things that I thought that would make a difference in this fight: hand speed, output in terms of punches. You know, Bevo was a superior guy in there tonight, and it was a great display of boxing. Okay, again, I'm thinking that he could have done better. Again, but again, you gotta take it as it comes, and so it was a great performance by Bevo. Uh, Canelo really, I thought the fight was I I thought the fight, the way they judged the fight was a lot. It wasn't as close as they judged it. I thought the fight was at least I would say they had it 115. All three judges had it 115, 113, which is kind of strange. You know, but still to only 115, 113. I mean, I don't know. It could have been. They could have gave. It could have been at least another 2 point spread. You know. So yeah, but Bevo, man, that was he really did his thing. But again, I have to point back to my pre-fight analysis. Where I talked about the fact that Bevo was a young, strong guy in his prime, and even though he lacked the experience of a Canelo, okay, he made it up for it with his fighting spirit. That was what I talked about in my pre-fight video. Okay, and again, that came out to be proven again in this fight. The fighting spirit of Bivol. There's a lot of time when a lot of times in the way Canelo, really stepped up his assault on Bivol, but Bivol just fired back, which is what you have to do. And so, yeah, Bivol just kept firing back, and then he would fire back more punches than Canelo would fire. Like Canelo tried a 3 punch combination, Beaver would come back with a 5 6 punch combination. Okay, and so yeah, that was great. I mean, great performance by Beaver, man. Great performance, tough kid. And again, his youth and his youthful exuberance, played a big part in him winning this fight. Because Canelo is obviously the more experienced guy in there, being with the tougher fighters. But I just thought Bevo's style in terms of his punching output and the fact that he was willing to let his hands go would have caused problems for Canelo, and it did. Okay, because Canelo's not used to that. Canelo's used to hitting guys like I do. Canelo's used to hitting guys, and when he hit him, they go, oh, ouch. You know what I'm saying? Like, with Billy Joe Saunders and Caleb Plant and Rocky Fielding and all these guys are not up to the level of Canelo. Okay, Canelo just hit these guys and they crumble like cookie, like cookie dough or something. You know what I mean? These guys just crumble when Canelo hit them. When Canelo step in and hit him with one of those vicious body shots, a hook to the body, left hooks to the body, they just crumble to the ground. He delivered a lot of those punches to Bevo, and Bevo just took them and just kept moving and kept jabbing him, and So yeah, Bevo, I guess, being a 175 pounder, I'm pretty sure he's used to getting hit by bigger. Well, not pretty sure. It's a fact that he's getting hit by bigger, stronger guys than Canelo. So, you know, I don't think those body punches that Canelo tried to beat up his arm like he did Rocky Fielding as well, and Beaver made mention of that. He said, "Yeah, Canelo beat up his arm. He asked him if he got hurt in the fight. He said, yeah, his arm got hurt. Canelo kept beating up on his arm. I think his arm is probably swollen too. I saw Canelo delivering those shots to his arm, trying to soften him up, but again, it didn't work. He was just he kept, every time Canelo would come inside and try to deliver something, he would leave with less than what he got that he wanted. Like anytime he came in and tried to deliver, say he came and tried to deliver 4 punches or 3 punches to B-Boy, he would get like 6 punches, 7 punches in response. Okay, and Beaver's punches would be more effective because a lot of Canelo's punches was getting blocked by Beaver. Well, yeah, 1 or 2 punches got through. Okay, a couple of uppercuts and a couple of right and left, but I mean, at the end of the day, not much went through. And Beaver, his defense was pretty solid in terms of the high guard. Okay, and Canelo really had no answer for him. He tried everything in his repertoire. Okay, and you can see at the end of the fight, like towards around the 10th, 9th, 10th, 11th round, you can see that Canelo was getting frustrated. Not only was he getting frustrated, he was getting tired. Okay, and again, I'm thinking if Beaver would have pressed the fight more, uh, he probably could have taken Canelo out. But he was very disciplined and responsible in there. He didn't try anything crazy. He just stuck to his game plan. You know, the jab, jab, jab. I was glad to see that there was actually somebody in there against Canelo who actually know how to use a jab. Okay, I mean, because it doesn't make any sense that you're the bigger man in a fight with a guy, and you're the bigger, taller guy, and you're not using your jab, and you're not out jabbing the smaller guy. And so, when you see something like that happen, you know that the people that's you know getting out jabbed, they don't know nothing about boxing, okay? Because that should never happen. Okay, they should never happen where the shorter guy with the shorter reach is out jabbing the bigger guy. That should never happen. Okay, so when that happens, then there's something fundamentally wrong, and that's why they say people that have good fundamentals. So like guys like Errol Spence, another guy I know in boxing who understand exactly what the jab is all about. Okay, so yeah, Bevo went in there, used his jab, established his jab early, okay, and continued to use it throughout the fight, okay, and kind of kept Canelo at bay for the most part. And then whenever time Canelo did actually come inside, he got punished for it. Okay, so there's nothing Canelo could do. He couldn't win from the outside. He couldn't win from the inside. Okay, so that was that, and Bevo just basically maintained that the whole fight. Okay, so that's how he won the fight, and you know he had Canelo hurt a couple of times in there. I thought, okay, but again, Canelo is Canelo has a first of all, Canelo has a chin of granite. I mean, this guy got a chin. I mean, I haven't seen a chin like that in boxing in a long time. That's probably one of the he's probably got one of the toughest chins in the history of boxing as far as I'm concerned, Canelo, because he could take a shot. You know what I mean? He really can. I mean, you got to give it to him, man. I mean, this guy can take a shot. And he took a lot of them tonight. So, yeah, Canelo, he did his thing in there, but he just wasn't enough. He couldn't, he wasn't, he couldn't overcome it. The guy was just too big for him, really. At the end of the day, you can see that, Beaver was a bigger man in there. He looked bigger, and he fought bigger. Okay, so Canelo had a very, uphill battle from the very first round, and you know, at the end of the day, it was a type sort of like a attrition, and Bevo was the one that came out on top. Okay, he wore Canelo down, ground him down, and I thought he could have knocked him out if he had applied more pressure, but he just stayed disciplined, didn't get too crazy in there, didn't take in too many chances, just stay on his game plan, and it worked. And now he's the he's still champion. He defeated Canelo, and now uh, obviously he's not gonna go down to 168 and defend. I don't think so. Canelo gets to still keep his belt. He's still undisputed at 168. Okay, but it's just that 175 he's taking his losses. Okay, so now he has two losses on his record. One from Mayweather and another one from the Russian, you know, uh, Dmitry Bivol. So it looks like the Russians are on the rise right now. You got the Russians over there beating up Ukraine, and then you got Bivol over here beating up Canelo. So hey, it is what it is. So yeah, great fight by Bivol, good performance. Great performance by Canelo as well. He gave it his all. I mean, you gotta give it to Canelo. I mean, he didn't shrink from it, and he tried his best to pull it out, but it was just that Giro was just too tough, too young, too strong, and didn't know how to lose. Okay, simple as that. Don't He doesn't know how to lose, and so Canelo know how to lose because he lost already, and so now he's been reminded of what it's like to lose in this fight again, and so I'm sure it's a bitter reminder for Canelo, and he doesn't like it in one bit, and that can be seen by the fact that he he didn't even wait. He didn't even wait to get out of the ring to ask for the rematch. He instituted the rematch clause immediately. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's going to be a rematch. I don't think anything's going to be different in the rematch. I think that if it's going to even be a rematch, I think he just maybe just saying that now, but I think he should stay away from Bevo. It's only going to get worse, I would think. So I don't think he has anything for Bevo at this point. Okay, and like I said in my pre-fight video, uh, his chance to beat Bevo was probably that window probably slipped. He probably missed that window to beat Bevo. He probably should have fought Bivol a year ago, okay, before Bivol get all this experience. Now that Bivol has gotten the experience, I was able to defeat him in the first time around. And now that with the experience that Bivol has gained now in actually fighting Canelo, I don't see Canelo beating him again. I don't see Canelo beating him next time around or ever. I think that's it. That window has passed, and we saw that in the first fight they had, and I don't think anything's going to change in the second fight if they have a second fight. Okay, and Canelo will probably come to that realization sooner or later, and there probably won't even be a second fight. Okay, I don't see him beating Bevo. It just is not going to happen. If he couldn't do it the first time, he's not going to be able to do it the second time, and so that ship has sailed for Canelo. Okay, like I said, if he couldn't beat Beaver the first time, he's not going to do it the second time. Okay, and like I said again, I repeat, in my previous in my video in my previous video, I said that Canelo had a chance to beat Beaver, but he'd have to fight him now. I actually should have fought him a year ago if he wanted to beat Beaver. And so the window for him to be able to beat Beaver passed. Beaver got the experience, he got the skills, and the experience gap wasn't big enough for Canelo to overcome the natural advantages that Beaver have in this fight. And we all saw that and how it played out. And that's what happened, people. So, uh, rematch Alberto Alvarado. Okay, well, yeah, they're gonna rematch Alberto. I mean, Canelo did a great job. He put up a great performance, but he just couldn't. The guy was too big, too strong, too fast, and too disciplined for Canelo. Okay, and that's what it is, Alberto. So he was just too disciplined for your boy. Canelo wasn't ready for that type of fight, and we saw what happened. Okay, so uh, the best man won tonight. Okay, the best man won tonight. Canelo put up a great fight, but he just couldn't overcome the advantages. I mean, I thought that maybe Canelo, still had enough. I thought that maybe Canelo, the window was still there for Canelo to beat Beaver because of his inexperience. And I said that in my pre-fight video. I talk about that, but it looked like that wasn't, no, the window was that window passed, and so Beaver had the experience to be able to, take on Canelo and beat him, and he did, and he did it in a great fashion. Got to give the man credit. He did a great job, and you got to give Canelo credit. He put up a great fight. It wasn't like a mismatch or anything, but you did see that the decision was unanimous. So, there was no question about who won. Okay. It wasn't like, you know, it wasn't a total mismatch, but it wasn't exactly a close fight either. Okay. So, Canelo did his thing in there and he put up, a good fight, but it just wasn't enough. Okay. And, so the best man won tonight. And, let's see what happened in the next fight. Now, if Canelo said he wants to fight him, I mean, he's saying that now in the heat of the moment. Maybe he might change his mind. You know, personally, I just don't think that he's going to be able to beat Bivol again. Okay, I think that window's passed, like I said. And if he couldn't beat him the first time, he's not going to be able to do it the second time. And you might as well just let that ship sail and move on to other things. Okay, but maybe knowing Canelo, he probably has pride and feel like he could. You have to win that. To you have to avenge the loss. But if I was him, I'd move on. And I think that's probably what's going to happen. I don't think they're going to fight again. I don't see it happening. Okay, I think that later on, as things cool down and cooler heads prevail, Canelo and his team are going to decide they have nothing to gain by fighting Bevo again. Okay, just stay at 168. 175 a little bit too far. Stay at 168 and fight, guys like Charlo and Andrade and those guys down there. Okay, because that's where his legacy lies. Okay, not 175. He just saw what happened. He just got, he tried to climb up to he tried to climb up but he got knocked down, so he got to stay at 168. 175 is a bridge too far. Okay. Mike Alvarado. I don't really see Triple G beating Canelo at this point. I don't think the fight, it should happen. I mean, whether it happens or not, it should happen or not, I don't know. But I would think that Canelo. I mean, especially after this performance against a guy like Bevo. Okay, I mean, by all rights, Bevo should have stopped Canelo. Okay, he should have. I called for that because I thought that's what was going to happen. He's a bigger guy. He's a young guy. He's strong. He's got good speed. Good, he should have stopped Canelo, but he didn't. Canelo's coming up to his weight. You know, so it just should go to show you how tough Canelo really is. He's not, Canelo is no joke. So I just don't see if Bevo couldn't really, I mean, he beat Canelo in a unanimous decision, but he didn't beat him up. You understand what I'm saying? There's a difference, beating a guy, you can beat a guy and not beat him up, you know. So Canelo didn't get beat up by Bevo, okay? He just lost the fight, okay? So uh I don't see Triple G winning against Canelo anymore. I just think that Canelo probably at this point he's going to separate himself from Triple G in a fight. I think he's going to beat Triple G. But although I mean you never know because Triple G put on a great performance in his last fight. I mean, it was a great fight against another young tough guy, like similar to the guy that Canelo faced in this fight. Only thing he wasn't as big as this guy, but he was a young, tough kid, and Triple G took him out in a tough fight. So yeah, Triple G was looking pretty good, but I just don't think he's gonna beat Canelo. Okay, Canelo, I think he's a little quicker than Triple G. I think he's younger. I think he's in his prime, and I think Triple G, is on the decline. Not he's not in total decline, but I think he's losing. I think he lost a bit. Okay, let's just say that. Okay, so I think that Canelo. I don't see any reason why the fight shouldn't happen. Because I think Canelo is going to win if it does happen. So now that should be a good fight, and then that should set up some more fights with the rest of those guys. In that uh, like uh, that's the fight that Canelo should probably take after the Triple G fight would be a fight against Andrade. That would be a great fight, I would think. For Canelo to take, but whether or not he want to take on a guy like that, I don't know. A guy who can move and punch just like what that it kind of surprised me how good Bevo was moving. I mean, I know he could move, but uh I didn't, I knew he was pretty good boxer, but I didn't know he could move that well. Okay, he did pretty good movement in there. A lot of movement. Canelo was unable to cut the ring off against him. Okay, and I think what do you say there? Do you think Canelo should instead go down a weight instead of going up? Yeah, I would agree with that. I think he should. I think he should maybe not go down a weight, but I mean, he definitely shouldn't go up to 175. That's not going to do him any good. I don't think that's good. That's a good weight. I think those guys are too big for him up there. I think he should stay at 168. You know, as for going down to 160, I don't know if he could actually do that. If he could make 160 and more, with all the muscle he don't put on. So I think he's just a natural 168 pounder. Okay, I think that's his weight, and he should just stay at that weight, and he's undisputed at that weight. But you haven't really fought anybody, any of the top guys, like I mean, uh, Andrade. I think Andrade is just moved up to 168, right? So maybe that fight will coming up soon after the Triple G fight. So that should be interesting, you know. But yeah, Canelo should definitely not go up. He should stay where he's at 168. And and if you can go down to 160, then that's all good. But I don't know if you can actually make 160 no more. But it's possible. I don't know. You know, Triple G still fighting at 160, and I think right, isn't that? I don't know. Anyway, Triple G. If is that fight in September definitely on? I'm not sure if it's definitely on or not. Or it's just a proposal that they're gonna fight in September. You know, if it's if it's definitely set, we don't know, but we'll see. What is my opinion of Canelo carrying Bivol on round 10? I think Canelo was just tired. That's what it is. Canelo was tired. Canelo was trying to Canelo was trying to get rest a lot a certain points of the fight. He was trying to rest, trying to play the game of like you even the part where he was calling people to come forward after people were landing some punches on him. He was saying, "Ah, come on, let's do some more." I think he was just tired. I think, and then he just played that, he just bluffed his way past a lot of it. That Bevo could have put the pressure on him at a lot of at different parts in this fight. I thought, but because Canelo was bluffing him, he had a good poker face and he was bluffing Bevo as if he wasn't really hurt when he was actually hurt a lot of times in this fight. Okay, and Bevo kind of fell for it. I don't know if he actually fell for it. Yeah, I think he did. He just stuck to his disciplined plan and just decided that he was going to fall for any of Canelo's games. But I thought that Canelo bluffed him one or two times in the fight where Canelo was a lot more hurt than he was letting on, and he was just playing, the game, and he succeeded. Bebo actually at that point should have stepped up the pressure and let his hands go, and he probably could have took Canelo out at certain points, or at least knocked him down. But that didn't happen. So yeah, it was a convincing win by Bevo. There was no question about it, really. Okay, it was convincing. He was just too big, too fast, uh, too strong for Canelo. Simple as that. That's what it was. Okay, too big, too strong, too fast. You know, and not afraid to let his hands go. And that's what you have to be in a fight against Canelo. You can't be afraid to let your hands go. Okay, because Canelo is there to be hit. Okay, simple as that. Canelo is there. I mean, his defense is pretty good, but it's not the best in the world. Even though he did display some good defensive skills against Bivol, with his hands down actually. So he was actually doing some good moves there, but he was getting touched. Make no mistake about it. Uh, you know, Well, I'm glad you decided to give Bevo that win, Alvarado. I don't think you need to give it to him though, because he has taken it. I think he took it. I don't. There's no need for you to give it to him. He took it, and he took it in great fashion. So there is no question about that. So he didn't leave it up to the judges. He won convincingly. Well, the judges did. I mean, in a figuratively speaking, but so yeah, he put on a great performance. Made a convincing case that he won the fight. This was the first time I seen Canelo super tired. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if he's the first time, but you're gonna get tired if you got a young guy in there letting punches go, and no matter what you do, nothing is working. Okay, you're gonna get tired and frustrated. And Canelo was both. He was tired and frustrated. It was almost like the Mayweather fight all over again. I think maybe Bebo watched a lot of Canelo's fight. I mean, he was watching that Mayweather Canelo fight a lot. because he was doing some good moves in there. Like when Canelo came in, and Canelo would throw a right hook, a left to the body. Hook, he when he threw his patented left hook to the body, Beaver would just give him a short left right to the face, bap. Yes, catch him right in there. Good. It was a good. It was a good tactic. Okay, he did that a couple of times and caught Canelo with that punch a couple of times. That short left check hook, like when Canelo came in with that left to the body. So yeah, it was a great performance by Bivol. He did some good things in there, some good techniques in there. He delivered a lot. Showed a lot more experience. He fought above his level, I would think, in terms of experience. He showed it. He showed, you know, maturity in the ring against Canelo. Okay, maturity that's I don't think that he's actually reached that level of maturity in terms of his actual time, in the game, in terms of boxing, the years that he's been boxing. I mean, he only has 19 fights, so but he showed like the maturity of a guy with like 40 fights. Okay, so yeah, great performance by Bivol. Good, performance by Canelo, but again, he just couldn't overcome, the power, the speed, the discipline, and the youth of Dmitry Bivol. So the Russian juggernaut moves on. Okay, continues to move on, and so yeah, I might put that one down as a win for the Russians. Alvarado, and the crazy part is that Bivol didn't look hurt. It was just as that was tagged. Yeah, well, that's where Canelo was landing most of his punches because Canelo could barely reach up to Bivol's head anyway. From where he was throwing his punches. So if he didn't get in real close, he could even throw a punch to the head because he was just, Bivol was just a big guy. So Canelo, had a hard time getting over that size of Bivol. It was a big problem for him in this fight. Okay, even though he fought taller guys than Bivol and won, but those guys didn't have the level of skill and the toughness and the strength of a Bivol. So we all saw what happened. Rocky Fielding being a prime example. He crumbled from a body shot, I believe, from Canelo. Canelo delivered that body shot several times to Bivol, but Bivol just took it like it was nothing and just kept moving and kept, punishing Canelo. So yeah, great fight by Bivol. And again, another thing that we need to point out in this fight is that Bivol was in great condition. He didn't even look tired at any point in the fight at all. Okay, and he looked like he could have kept going for another 2 or 3 rounds, even after the fight stopped. So yeah, he was in great condition. He came prepared for sure. He was prepared for this fight. Great condition, and he was able to in better condition than Canelo. Okay, so Canelo kind of, again, I don't know if you could say that Canelo gas, but I don't think he was prepared for the kind of opposition that Bivol presented, and so it's not that he ran out of Well, I guess I don't know. I guess you could say he kind of ran out of gas at a certain point, but he took enough gas, but it's just that you know. Uh, the way that Bivol was fighting, that guy was burning up a lot faster than usual because Bivol was putting the pressure on him, and making him fight. Because Bivol was letting those hands go. And so, yeah, Canelo was forced to fight even harder than he expected. And so, he got tired. But I don't think because he wasn't in condition. I just think that he was forced to fight a lot harder than he was normally used to. And, you know, uh, he had to really expend a lot of energy, and that took its toll on him. So yeah, that's what I think. Man, so yeah, Canelo Look like our boy Canelo finally lost his. He got his second loss in his record. As I said in my pre-fight video, he probably bit off a little more than he can chew, and that was the case. He bit off a little more than he can chew. Beaver was just a little bite that was a bit too big. He couldn't process it all in his mouth, and we all saw what happened. So yeah, Beaver defeats Canelo in a thrilling fight, but Canelo did his best, but he just couldn't overcome the young Russian juggernaut that is Bivol. So yeah, Bivol is the man right now. Just defeated Canelo, and if Canelo actually do decide to fight him again, and they do fight again, it's gonna be even more money for Bivol. So I'm pretty sure he have no problem fighting Canelo again, but I don't think it's gonna happen. That's what I'm thinking. I don't really see it happen. I just think that I mean, what is Canelo? I mean, I don't see it. I just think if people are gonna decide that, you know what, let's just cut our losses. Why go in there against this young champion again? He's at a different weight anyway. It's not like he's at 168 pounds where I'm campaigning at. I'm undisputed 168. So I just stay here at 168, stay in my lane, and just fight these guys. Why go up there and fight this guy again for what? And then if I lose again, then that's gonna take away more money from my marketability. So they're just gonna let that fight. But then again, it's up to them. So if the fight don't happen, because Canelo don't want it to happen, and so that's more likely what I think is going to happen. They're just going to kind of let that fight slide and just move on to different things and leave that alone. I don't think it's going to happen again. But it was a great fight though by Canelo. Gotta give Canelo his part for taking this fight. It was a tough fight to take. But again, I understand what he was doing. I thought he was really trying to get this guy before the guy got too good for him, and he miscalculated. He should have fought him a year ago. Uh, he fought him now, and it was just too late. The guy was already at the point where he could beat Canelo, and we all saw it. And the rest is history. So yeah, but great performance by both. Great performance by both guys. As though Beaver put in a superior performance, and he got the superior results. So yeah, great night of boxing. With that said, people, I'm going to leave it there. This is TBE Boxing, okay? And make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, okay? Uh, Go to tbeboxing.com. Check out the latest news, headlines, and analysis. And with that said, people, this is TBE Boxing saying I'm out.
Got the money for minutes, pretty bitch, gotta show me titties. This is the life I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? That life before riches, huh? That life before riches, huh? Pretty bitch, show me titties, huh? And I got the glaze, you run up on me, I'ma make you get it. I'ma make you get it.